If I knew what Bitcoin really is, I wouldn't have done this journey. I wouldn't have gone around meeting people and talking about Bitcoin. Most of the people, 90% of the people are P2P traders. Then the other 8% of people are just trying to get rich quick and they want to become rich overnight. And in most of the circular economies also, I really saw like Bitcoin was used as an on-ramp and off-ramp method. And I'm thankful to the entire Bitcoin community who supported me. Everybody like you all, like kind people, all came through in Nigeria. People hosted me. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's making this all possible. And big kudos to Africa Bitcoin Conference, Human Rights Foundation for supporting a lot of initiatives. Open Sats has come through. Things are growing up. Keep doing what you're doing. You will find your path, and I will see you on the road. Namaste, man.
Hello, Bitcoiners. How are you guys doing today? And I welcome you to today's episode of the ABC podcast. And I'm really excited today to welcome a very important Bitcoiner who has traveled to over 40 countries around the globe, different countries, different continents, and he has seen Bitcoin through the lenses of different people and different countries. He really understands what the Bitcoin adoption is about. So I'm really excited to welcome you to the show, Paco. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Good to see you. How is everything with you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah, it's going very well. I'm really excited to speak to you today. So before we get into deep into all the conversations, right? I will, talk to us about your Bitcoin story. How did you get started with Bitcoin, and what really inspired you to begin to travel to all these countries using Bitcoin? Was there like any specific moment or any specific event that made you decide, okay, I have started with Bitcoin and I'm going to really show people or travel around the world using Bitcoin?
I think so. It's a very good time you're asking. I'm done with my journey. I finished my journey on December 6th, 2023. And I would like to say this to people like, if I knew what Bitcoin really is, I wouldn't have done this journey. I wouldn't have gone around meeting people and talking about Bitcoin. The reality is totally different from what is being showed to us on social media. And my for me it was 2021 August when my friend suggested me to travel the world using Bitcoin, and he suggested me the book called the Bitcoin Standard. And I really love traveling, so I was really keen on going on this mission, and I was like, yes. And I could see what Bitcoin was thanks to the book The Bitcoin Standard by Saifuddin Amos. And I went around moving around, and it took me, the plan was to do it in 400 days, but it took me like 800 days to do that. And the journey was specifically targeted towards global south. That was not towards the Americans or the Europeans or the Australians, just to see how Bitcoin really is money in these parts of the world. And it was something challenging to see that people still prefer US dollars and people are scared about Bitcoin, and it is okay. This is the time, and slowly and gradually, people will understand what Bitcoin is. And but like, if I knew what Bitcoin is, I wouldn't have done all this, because it's not that pretty, Like, specifically, if you're going around Africa, you're going around Asian countries, and people
Yeah.
can use, like, I recently realized like Bitcoin is can be used for the good also, and it can be used for the bad also.
Yes.
So it all depends on the person who is dealing with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, something to
Yeah.
tell you about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I mean, it's always people. I mean, some people see Bitcoin as a tool and they decide to use it, but most times it's just best to use it for its good. And I also know that. I mean, when you decided to travel, you decided to take that first step. Okay, let me go to the first country and see how things worked out here in this country, and then maybe you decided to do more countries. So, how was the first experience traveling like using Bitcoin in your first country, and your first travel, did it like make it easier for you to decide to travel to other countries? Did it, ignite you more to, make more trips and see how Bitcoin is? How was like the first experience in your first country?
My first country was India, and it was really nice because I really believe, and I still believe, humans are kind people. And all I had to was bring it in action. So I started calling humans of Bitcoin are kind, and I found places that were ready to accept Bitcoin. All I had to do was ask them. Like first was tea vendor. Like I got a cup of tea for Bitcoin, I remember, and then I got a coconut water or paid for my food with Bitcoin. And people were really curious and eager to try Bitcoin in their day-to-day life. So India, while moving around India, I got to meet a lot of people in different cities. I went around like 15 Indian cities, and after which my friend suggested me to go to Thailand because COVID restrictions were getting relaxed. This is 2021, the second wave of COVID, if I remember well. And I went to Thailand, and from there, I got to meet some international Bitcoiners. And I was just challenging between the COVID restrictions as well as Bitcoin friendly places. Like I had to find places that were Bitcoin friendly, and it was not very easy. It was always using Twitter, or now called X, or using Telegram or word of mouth. By this process, I was finding people in different countries. Then I went from Thailand over to Thailand was very nice. I got to meet some good Bitcoiners. I came to know that the Umbrella network was found in Thailand by the FOSS, free open source developers. And then I moved over to Cambodia because that was open after the COVID restrictions, then Singapore, and then Korea was shut down, Japan was shut down, Bali had a lockdown, Hong Kong had like 1 week of quarantine. I remember any country that I wanted to reach, go visit, were all locked down. Then from there, I went to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was just opened up, but then in Sri Lanka, as soon as in 2022, we just saw how the president had to run away from the country. The country was in turmoil. They had lost a lot of valuation. I remember standing in Sri Lanka, standing in the queue for almost 12 to 14 hours, 12 hours to just get petrol to
Wow.
move forward. Yeah, it's an island, right? Sri Lanka is an island, and everything is imported. And what I saw was in this process how the Chinese have their own city now in Sri Lanka. They are funding. I would say the world's biggest bank today is the Chinese investment bank. I do not know it's called the investment bank or what, but the Chinese have invested more money than IMF has done so far.
Wow.
So like they I remember in Cambodia also they owned a seaport town. Then now in Sri Lanka also they opened a seaport town. So I was starting to see how the Chinese influence is moving forward in the world without guns and violence. Um, yeah, and from there, then I went over to Qatar, and then starts the journey of Africa. That was like 18 African countries.
Yeah, I mean, I can vividly remember that we hosted you in 2022 when you came, to Nigeria, and it was really a good experience, meeting you. I mean, you began your trip from India to Thailand before you started doing, other countries and then to Africa. How would you summarize people's interaction with Bitcoin and adoption? I don't know. You visited a lot of countries, so maybe you can try to summarize it by different countries and by continent, how you saw people's interaction, with Bitcoin and the adoption for these different countries and continents.
I would say I can just summarize the entire 40 countries for you. I can tell you one thing for clearly is most of the people, 90% of the people are P2P traders. Then the other 8% of people are just trying to get rich quick. They are like trying to buy some altcoins and they want to become rich overnight. And then from this, another 2% of the people or the remaining 2% would be like Bitcoiners. I would say that. The big difference between Asia, the Latin America, and Africa is the income. Like the income that an African was earning was between $60 to $100 per month, which was very challenging. which is stark reality, which people don't see it. People only see they earn good money, but it is the rich people who earn good money. The poor are still poor. This is all around Africa. This is something that I can say on behalf of Africans. Like, yeah, they have six children and $60 of salary or $100 of salary. And in Asia, what you can see was they earn like $300, $250, $300 per month, or in Latin America, $300 to $500 per month, and they have a better standard of living. But yet again, I would say Africans had good food. I would always say Africans had good food because they were eating natural. So I wouldn't call Africa as a hungry country, a hungry continent, but I would say Africa has a lot of these challenges, and what has happened over the last 50, 60 years, ever since every country got their independence out, it has been a challenge for them to just climb up because there is just so much corruption. And this legal system that was set up by the French and the English and the Portuguese and the Belgium, to overcome that, it was really challenging for everybody in Africa. And here we are today, where the same thing happened in the Latin American region, where you have the Spaniards. They were part of like almost 15 to 18 countries there too. But the thing between there and Africa is like they got independence in the 1700s. So you see, they have had 200 years of growth, but they have also been challenged by United States of America devaluing them. And if you look back at the currency over the last 50, 100 years, they also have been devalued, destroyed. Big examples are Brazil, Venezuela, which we are seeing right now. Ecuador lost its currency. El Salvador lost its currency. That's why El Salvador accepts now Bitcoin. So that was something in the Latin American region, and same thing goes for the Asian countries. By the time they all got independence, they were asked to follow a certain education system and a certain legal system, which was really challenging for the underprivileged who were not educated. And this is something that I saw in Africa, like being the big challenge was the education, because let's say Nigeria itself has 200 languages, I would say. Yoruba is just one of those languages that we talk about and it's been more spoken, but Yoruba also goes from there to Cameroon to Central African Republic. That all was one part. So yeah, there were like these things, like I saw what colonialism has done. And now as we move forward, nothing like our banking system. I do not know what's $1 to Naira today. How much is it today?
Yeah, it's about 1,600.
No. July 22, I remember the official rate was 450, and then the
Yeah, about
blue market was 800.
yeah.
And then from there, now here we are, how much you're saying is 1600. There we go. It's been 2 years, your money is already wiped out. So yeah, that's still happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's different experiences for different countries, and it's really about people trying to be able to escape what was taught to them or what was given to them by their colonial masters, and being able to work on themselves and be able to develop themselves, especially in terms of financial communication between one person to another, between one country to another, and stuffs like that. And when this can be done, there can be more prosperity, there can be more economic growth. Yeah, and I mean now that you traveled from one country to another, you have the experiences of how Bitcoin was used or how Bitcoin was accepted, in these different countries. So like in all these countries that you traveled, like which country was like the most friendly with Bitcoin, that accepted Bitcoin, that you found it more easy to interact with the local economy using Bitcoin?
I would say something. There is something that has started over the last 3 to 4 years. It is circular economies. So Bitcoin circular economies has started over the last 3 to 4 years, and because of that, there are little pockets of people in different parts of the world that are accepting Bitcoin. Okay, And now, as for the country that was really easy for me to transact, obviously it was El Salvador because it is the legal tender. But the reality is that 99% of the people still don't use Bitcoin. People still prefer using US dollars. And in most of the circular economies, also, I really saw like Bitcoin was used as an on ramp and off ramp method. That means if I come to you, yes, you will accept Bitcoin from me, but immediately you will convert it to the US dollars. And I don't blame them because of the fluctuation of this. So this is where we are in like different countries. I would say like we can talk about the circular economies. Now there are opened almost 25, 30 of them, I guess. And most of these circular economies are like an NGO effort, you know. Are they self-sustainable? Mm, maybe one, maybe two, maybe three. But all of them are like NGO, like you know, it's like I come to your community and I give you money and you can use that money as you like. So instead of me giving you dollars or nairas or rupees, I'm giving you Bitcoin and you're using Bitcoin. So this is how they have started, and yeah, you have looked at the education system that is being going with me premier Bitcoin. That means my first Bitcoin. I am yet to see whether the education system has got something called as time preference. Has have they been able to teach time preference to the people? You know, because let's be honest, like you can't teach time preference in Africa when your salary is $60 or $100. You were part of the Pax Niger educational hub, and you always knew that 9 out of 10 people are coming there to make money. Or not even to save the money, they just want to make money. Okay, and it is good, that's the human nature to fend for his own food or find his own food. But you, and then how do you teach them how to save money? They won't save money, they would immediately go buy that beer. A beer is really cheap, you know. In $1 you will have beer, you'll be happy. Then that's what people are behind, to have that instant gratification, you know. So, and Africa, it was something for me great to see. Like, yes, there are initiatives. I remember there was one initiative started in Nigeria, but it shut down. Then there was one initiative, it was in Lagos, that guy, I forget his name. He was starting a Bitcoin village, it didn't come through. Then there was a Bitcoin mountain in Cameroon happening. I am yet to see what's happening with that. Then in Ghana, we started with what the Ghana community called? I forget. The guy
The Bitcoin cowries.
Cowries. What has happened? I have no clue of that.
Yeah, they're also trying to build, secular economies, trying to educate people to accept Bitcoin as well. Yeah,
Yeah. So there you go.
but
Three.
like you said, they are not really all self-sustainable. They have
Exactly.
to, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's three to mention. Then something started in Uganda, Kampala, Gorilla. Something started. I remember. Kenya
Gorilla
started
Start.
with, yeah, Gorilla side. Then I saw with Bitcoin Dada in Kenya, and I know what Kenya is reality. You know, it is really challenging to start something there. You know, where else did we start? Then Bitcoin Victoria Falls has now started in Zambia. Then of all of them, one of the leaders, or one of the leaders is not the word, one of the pioneers is Bitcoin Ikasi in Africa. Um, because Bitcoin Ikasi was already running this non-for-profit initiative for over 5 to 7 years prior to integrating Bitcoin into their day-to-day life. So, hence Bitcoin Ikasi already had a setup model, and they just implemented the model like Bitcoin Beach. So, so they were doing pretty good. Senegal also something started and it is gone. I mean, all these circular economy and initiatives that come through are good grassroots adoption level. But for it to sustain, you need more than 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. You need 3 years, 5 years. You need 7 years of this to happen. So this is the Africa region, and yeah, man. I mean, Latin American region also. The reason why Latin American region is going great is thanks to El Salvador being there, and Bitcoin Beach has great support through Mike Peterson. Through Mike Peterson, there is also support going to Guatemala Bitcoin Lake. So there is Lago Bitcoin there. Then in Roatan, there is a community that is started in Roatan. It's called Prospera in the island. In the island Roatan, there is Prospera. That's a free city, and it's called Amity Age. So they also run a circular, trying to run a circular economy. They're teaching people about Bitcoin. They're self-sustainable because they get profits from mining in Paraguay and Ethiopia. There you go. That's how it is. Then Brazil is also like this. Peru is another. Peru is also a great NGO effort where people get $3 to $5 of Bitcoin every week, and they're running and they're getting forward. They are learning entrepreneurship, education. So all these initiatives have started. Suriname also started with Maya. I mean, all this have started over the last 3 to 5 years. So we need to just see who is gonna sustain in the long term.
To learn, about Bitcoin is because maybe they saw a friend that made money from it and they are now coming to learn for them to make money. And it's only when you begin to educate them and you try to tell them that there is really more to Bitcoin than you maybe trying to put $1 to get $3, that that's not really what Bitcoin is. And also, except for people that really have a problem, maybe people that wanted to send money from one African country to another, and you try to teach them that you can actually do this faster using Bitcoin. And when they see that, that's when they will know, oh, so Bitcoin can really be used for these things. But primarily they have this idea that it's a investment scheme or get quick rich scheme. So yeah, it's really a big challenge to. I remember that when you were in Nigeria, we were in one bar in Abuja, and when we finished drinking, you wanted to pay the guy with Bitcoin. He didn't want to accept Bitcoin. He said, "Pay me in local currency." You even said, "Okay, open an account. Let me zap you," and he was still really reluctant. You mentioned this about people really still preferring the US dollars to Bitcoin, and now there is kind of discussions even among Bitcoiners that that the big banks have now upper hand in impacting Bitcoin, especially through price action, simply because of the Bitcoin ETF that now has Bitcoin has gone mainstream to different banks or different people buying Bitcoin without really having. So what do you think that this means? Do you share in this sentiment that these big banks will now have more impact on what happens with Bitcoin? Do you share this sentiment? And also, what do you really think that this means for the local guys in the streets? Because you have met people in the streets that use Bitcoin. What do you think that this really means for these types of people? Yeah.
Like the banks have taken initiative. I mean, I am going to tell you straight up, nobody uses Bitcoin apart from the circular economy people and the social media influencers right now. Okay. Leave the social media outside. I know so many Bitcoiners who do not even have a Lightning wallet. Okay. And they don't want to use their Bitcoin because that is time preference. They are saving for the future. Okay. This is the reality. It might be harsh, it might be bitter, but this is something that I saw on the ground, and I would love to be wrong. Time things change. We have adopt. Bitcoin has grown, and I hope this all changes. And one of the greatest reality is, hands down. Yep. So what I was saying was like it is the USDT that people prefer using it, and people are using it. When you looked at the Nigerian numbers, when people used to say Nigeria is number one in the world for Bitcoin adoption, and I'm like, no, it's not Bitcoin adoption. It is because they have great P2P traders in the world. The greatest P2P traders come from Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa. These are the three major hubs, and they are not using Bitcoin. They are using USDT. They are moving money between countries, and that is a reality, and this is something that we saw all around the world. As is this one might be for India, for Cambodia, for in the Americas, and you saw apart from the Bitcoin circular economies, nope, people don't use Bitcoin. The rich people or the financially privileged people see this as investment. um, the geeks, nerds like you and me, see this as we are changing the world, we are saving the world, and we are maximalists. And then there is the third kind of the world, that is the Bitcoin circular economies, that is like, hey, I'm getting some money through this. Let me just use this. And in the process, they are learning about it as the time goes by because it is an slow education process. And then the fourth kind, we have already those traders. As Casey Rodemer says it, this is an intergalactical casino now. Everybody is just buying meme coins and trying to get rich quick and having fun in the process. And let them have fun. I mean, why we should let them have fun. Like I am saying that.
Yeah, I mean I can completely relate when you talk about people the streets preferring to use USDT. Though it was true that in the beginning most people used Bitcoin to make their cross-border payments through P2P, but Bitcoin is also volatile and that's what worries some people. So when people now had that choice of using USDT because it's more stable, so people now tend to move towards USDT more. I mean it's very true that most people that do P2P that want to do their cross-border payment stuff, they prefer to use USDT now rather than using Bitcoin. And this is like really um, something that I don't know if it's a challenge or maybe we need to make Bitcoin more usable, which is also the reason why I was asking you about the ETF and what it means for adoption because I don't know whether it will make Bitcoin more stable or it will make it more volatile because it is this volatility that really makes people to move towards USDT that they know that if they send money from someone in the next 1 hour it will still be the same amount, not maybe reducing, especially because that is what they worry about. And I mean you moved around this different communities and you have seen these challenges, and I mean now we are really highlighting that is really only these Bitcoin secular economies that really make adoption easy, that people accept Bitcoin, that aside from them people outside the walls of these secular economies, uh, they are really relaxed or about accepting Bitcoin or using Bitcoin. So what do you really think that the communities that you have met, people that you have interacted with, what do you think that the Bitcoin community especially can do better to promote more adoption, especially outside, the few secular economies that are around in the community? What do you think should be done better to promote a more wide spread adoption of Bitcoin?
You have asked me two questions now. The first one is on the ETF, and second is what the Bitcoin should come people should do. I will answer about the ETF part. I mean, ETF will bring more volatility in the market. I really feel that because they have access to all these coins and they can dump whenever they need. I may be wrong. I'm not the ETF person, but like they will be just playing between themselves. As you can see over there, ETFs hold about 1 million bitcoins, and out of those million bitcoins, almost 3 to 400,000 or 500,000, I would say. I do not know. 4 to 500,000 have just come from GBTC, Grayscale BTC. So they just did an internal trade from there and all, and people were just buying through Grayscale. So ETF, I mean, is the rich people's game now. They have access to the money. They can buy money. As you can see, what the two great companies I can talk to you about is MicroStrategy by Michael Saylor, who keeps taking out a debt on his market share and buying more Bitcoin, and he owns more than 1% of the coins now. And then on the other hand, we have what's his name? Uh, what's this one? MetaPlanet. MetaPlanet is a company in Japan. Bitcoin Magazine is a shareholder in that company, and MetaPlanet is doing the same thing. So the people who have access to money will keep buying Bitcoin. So it's just gonna happen, man. You get some before you can, I would say. And the second question you asked, how can we spread the education level? I mean, the solution is education, yes, but I feel always the education comes when there is a need for it. There is a reason why you and me speak English today is because there was a need for it by our fathers. Our fathers grew up in the post-colonial time where we learned that if you want to do the trade, you have to speak English. So there was a need for it. The people in today's world so far do not see the need for Bitcoin. And I see that they are still caught up in the matrix and they are still caught up thinking like they will advance in the world by their skills, but they are forgetting that our education system is flawed and so is our monetary system flawed. That's where the problem is. All we can do is start talking we are doing bottom to top approach through the Bitcoin circular economies. We should as well as have top to down approach also, where we are trying to infuse, trying to teach people about Bitcoin in schools. But then yet again, as I said, as we started in the conversation about 40 minutes ago, it says Bitcoin can be used for good things as well as bad things, right? Now, if this Bitcoin is used by people, by the opposition party or something, they call them a terrorist activity. But the same thing, the world sees them as activism. They see, oh, they're activists. The same thing that can be used to buy a cup of coffee or pay for somebody's education, but the same Bitcoin can also be used to buy drugs and guns. So it is a two-edged sword, and you have to see how it goes. I really feel we have grown as an ecosystem over the last 3 years that I have been a part of, and I'm really honored and blessed to see this happen because we did not have so many lightning initiatives that have come over the last 3 years. Like you can just see there are so many lightning companies. Like when was like this is the third Africa Bitcoin conference that is going to happen in another 4 months now, and things are changing, but even you know that, brother. Like if there are 1.4 1.5 billion Africans, and once you host the conferences, not everybody can come there. So it is like even like if somebody had to come to Ghana, the expense was 1,500 to $2,000 per person at least. I mean, it will be the same around in Kenya, at least $1,000 per person. Anyone that's coming, because flights are expensive, and that's the major cost. Rest all you can manage. So I really feel education is a great way forward. I really feel everybody should keep doing what they are doing and do not worry about the noise. Just keep doing, because as you move forward, you will grow. I mean, you need first of all English to grow in this ecosystem. Now, imagine you go back to your 250 million Nigerians and you tell them about Bitcoin, and then they will be like, hey, I need first English. So they speak their English. But and there you go. So at least Nigeria is good. Now, as you go to Cameroon, they speak French. As you go to Congo, is French. Portuguese in Mozambique. Arabic in the north, in Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco. So yeah, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. Bitcoin is suddenly and then gradually, and I am really an optimist person, which really believes that yes, there will be hyper Bitcoinization, and it will not take 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. It will take 25 years for that to happen.
I completely agree because even when you start, I have really engaged with a lot of people trying to educate them, about Bitcoin, and it's always most times it's always from the ground up. You need to start, giving the person the right education, not really only educating the person, but the person has to be, educated in the right way because most people that you meet, they may have heard about Bitcoin, but maybe they heard about it as an investment or something that they can put money to get rich quicker. So it's like you said, we have to do it from the bottom up and also from the top, down to be able to push more adoption and trying to get more people to use Bitcoin. And you also spoke about Lightning, and now we have more product, Lightning product, and people now when people when you try to onboard people, they can easily see how they can be able to use Bitcoin. You show them Lightning, how they can send money very quick. But you also think that the what is being done on the Lightning network is also um, maybe enough. Do you think enough has been done, or do you think there is really need to be more? Because there's also some debate among the communities that the network project may be failing because sometimes there is failure on the network, and then there is also this liquidity problem of trying to run a node. So, what do you really think about the Lightning network, and how do you think that it can help to promote this adoption?
Wow, Lightning, Lightning, there will be Lightning banks. The only way to scale it up is through custodial ways. Like there is like wallet of Satoshi, for example, which is a great wallet. They are doing a great job. Blink is another custodial services. Then you have your non-custodial services, but I mean, custodial is not that bad. Yes, There is scalability questions, but Bitcoiners are really smart enough to find a solution to it. As you can see, we have moved from the layer one that was on chain to Lightning. We have Liquid as an option. We have eCash as other options, and then there was Arc that is being worked on. So yes, there are other options. We are moving forward. We are growing as a person. But as we speak, where are the users? There are no bloody users. Like, show me the users, show me the numbers. It is good to make noise. It is good to say, yes, we are the number one. And but where are the users, slowly and gradually when the users come onto the ecosystem, I'm like, just let's be clear. Let's for fun, okay? I know you might take this up. I mean, you can buy a Dogecoin and you can send that Dogecoin anywhere in the world, and that person can cash out that Dogecoin and get his cash. You can buy Bitcoin and you can send Bitcoin to anywhere in the world and you can cash out. You can do that with USDT also. So why should I need to use Lightning? Things have grown, right? Over the entire ecosystem, everything has grown. Everything has changed. There are multiple options, and now we have a lot of meme coins. And everything, anybody has trading between themselves, and everything is working. So Lightning Network is at a great junction. They say we can run 3 to 5 million transactions per second. The day we hit 5 million I don't think so. We have hit 5 million transactions per second. I think so. We would have hit 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. I do not even know because I'm not a coder myself, but I see we have grown. This paper was proposed in 2015, 2016, 2017, and now we are talking about in 2024. My 3 years of my journey, I was using Lightning. Binance integrated Lightning into itself also. So yes, Lightning is there. Yes, running with Node. I used to run my Node for 2 years. It was really painful. Then I shifted to custodial services. So yes, there are challenges towards it, but I think so one challenge at a time. The biggest challenge right now is your government, man. Like, look about it. You people in Nigeria were not even safe to use your coins or use your Bitcoin or come to social media. Like, that is a bigger challenge than trying to scale something called Lightning. Like, the basic freedom is gone. Wallet of Satoshi is banned in the United States of America. Blink is banned in the United States of America. And these are the people where there is a lot of money that is moving. As you can see, a lot of money moves from the US dollar economy. So, but there you are, it is banned. So, I think so. Slowly, we will move forward and we'll find a solution to it. We move from the big blockers to small block, the 2017 era. Then now we had the flood of ordinals going around, and what's the new one? Runes going around, so that you can mint your NFT on the Bitcoin blockchain now. So all this is also happening, and things are moving forward. I can just hope that we remain decentralized and we can still be able to share the positive impact of Bitcoin. That the main purpose was a peer-to-peer electronic cash transaction. So let's hope for the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, I completely agree because you also made an important point that everyone should keep what they are doing in the community and just ignore the noise. I also believe that I so strongly believe this that as we continue doing whatever we are doing, whether you are building, whether you are educating, whether you promoting adoption, like everyone should just continue doing it, and then hopefully we'll get to have more widespread adoption and try to also as Bitcoiners try to also show the good side of using Bitcoin more than trying to promote it as people to get rich quick scheme and maybe other things that might scare the common man from using Bitcoin. Yeah. So now, like, let's now talk a bit about the challenges that you've had. I mean, you traveled to a lot of countries, moving from one country to another, making trips, applying for visas, hosting Bitcoin meetup. I mean that's a lot of work that you must have done to make this trips happen. So what were like your biggest challenges while doing these trips, while interacting with Bitcoiners, and how did you really manage to navigate all these challenges? Because I mean, for me, if I travel to maybe one or two countries, I might just get tired and say I'm not doing this anymore. But you kept going, traveling to all these countries, meeting people. I mean,
I would think I see. I was a traveler before I started my journey, so I have been traveling since 2015 to 2019, and I've traveled a lot. And I used to hitchhike, couch surf. So I really was comfortable moving around. Moving around wasn't a big challenge. The challenge was finding the people of our niche category. That is the crypto category. I started calling it the Bitcoin people. I went on to look for Bitcoiners. I found crypto people because crypto has a much more wider reach than Bitcoin. Crypto is because crypto is comes in all forms and it accepts everyone. Bitcoiners only accept people who are Bitcoiners. You know, it's just like if you're a Bitcoiner, then you're my friend. If you're another crypto, then you're a shitcoiner, and then you suffer and blah 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 blah. So I found a lot of crypto. So my challenge was to find the crypto people to host the Bitcoin meetups. Because I hosted over 120 Bitcoin meetups, and this was only possible because the like we hosted five or six in Nigeria with you. In Lagos, we hosted Abuja, Port Calabar. Where was the other? Kaduna, we hosted, and there's another one with Heritage. I hosted. I forget where he is. So, yeah, Akure. Yeah, Akure. So the plan was very simple. Was to find people, but it was challenging. So I used to use Twitter, Telegram, word of mouth to find people. The second challenge was the visas because you always needed a lot of COVID certificates. So I had to make a lot of fake COVID certificates to move around and make it. Yes, I am vaccinated. Yes, I was vaccinated because I became a Bitcoiner after I got vaccinated. So if I was Bitcoiner, I wouldn't have gotten vaccinated. But that's the past now. So yes, these were some challenges that I had to move around, and the biggest, I would say, which is all around the world, people think Bitcoin is a scam. That's it. The first thing they hear about Bitcoin is a scam. Like the first thing they talk is anything, they're scared about it because they see it as a scam. That's the biggest challenge. Like to teach them about Bitcoin, first you had to take first unlearn everything that they have learned, take them to layer zero, and then start from there. And that used to take 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So I had a lot of time. I did all of that. But then slowly and gradually, my patience started running out. And by the time I was in my last six, seven countries, I was really tired. I was just there. I was just getting by. I was finding one person or two-person, and I was really happy that I found one or two or three people. As such, this is how it all changed slowly and gradually. But to teach people something about something new, where there is already so much FUD in the media, it is really challenging, man. People are not ready to learn. People don't have patience. I really feel the reason we went to the school was because we were scared of our parents. The reason we went to to college was because our parents were like, study, otherwise you'll get nothing. You know, they always had a stick on our ass. They were like, study, study. As soon as we finished studying, and then we realized we're not getting any jobs. Why? It's like, oh, you need to study more, and now you're like, oh, my parent is not paying me money. Now what do I study? And then you start getting caught up into the Keynesian economics of life, of spending money, taking loans. Like there are so many loan sharks in Africa. That's the major reason that the youth of Africa suffers. The loan sharks charge anywhere between 20 to 50% per month. That's ridiculous. So nobody has chance to grow, and for people to grow in the Bitcoin ecosystem, they need that freedom. You know, they need the need to grow. You cannot just be running around them like learn Bitcoin. I mean, it's 3 years later. You are on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. It is pretty much the same faces I'm still seeing.
Yeah, true.
Like,
I mean, there's
like,
really needed a lot of work to be done.
brother, you hosted so many Pax Bitcoin meetups. It was mostly the same people, right?
Yeah, true. I mean,
Like,
it's really very, very difficult to, like you said, you have to maybe like format anyone you meet before about what they know about Bitcoin or what they know about crypto, and then you have to begin from that. It's really, really very, very stressful to do. I mean, I can relate with that 100%. I can relate with that 100%, and it's very, very um challenging to do that. I can imagine, and then you did it to over 40 countries.
Oh man, yeah, I'm grateful to, I'm thankful to the entire Bitcoin community who supported me. Everybody, like you all, like kind people, all came through in Nigeria. People hosted me. I remember Ayobami hosted me in Nigeria. Then there was Chio in Cameroon. Then there was Melvin. I'm not Melvin. I guess Melvin in Uganda. Then there was somebody in Kenya, in Mozambique. There were people all around the world. These one, two, three, four people were there, and Bitcoin price was going down also. And I believe that yes, and now the Bitcoin price is back. So I'm really hoping that we might get more people. I am really optimistic about it, but I just feel like I am. I mean, like everybody is doing it for one motive. I'll tell you something. I traveled because I love traveling. I am not traveling now because I don't want to travel. Okay. So this was very clear about it. And for me, Bitcoin came along, it went hand in hand. I'm like, all right, I'm able to spread the word. I'm able to host Bitcoin meetups. I'm able to prove to the world that Bitcoin is money. I did my part of the journey. And I'm really grateful that I did this. And I learned, yes, human are kind people. But if you have a little bit of money, they're even kinder. It's the money, brother.
Yeah, I can really imagine, how much you grew personally from making these trips, and the traveling. Like, how did this all these trips help you grow personally or professionally? And are there like key lessons that you learned while traveling that you might want to share?
Uh, wow, I really felt like money is important to grow in this ecosystem. It is like the sixth sense. If you have your five senses, you need your sixth sense because with the sixth sense, little bit of money, you move forward. It's like the oil, is the oil in your body that moves your muscles. And I really saw how God has played a different role in this world with every human. I mean, looking at what is happening, what I saw in Africa, I really counted my blessings. I was really thankful for where I am born, for my parents, and for the level of education and freedom I have. This is something that I realized, like how we are always ungrateful to the Almighty. So we are like really ungrateful for the little small things the Almighty does for us. We take everything for granted, and I realized how our education system is super flawed. They just wanted to produce workers for industry. Hence, you look at the top 10 business schools, all come from the United States of America or from the European League, and they just wanted industrial workers. Fast forward 50 years later or 100 years later, they are, it's not worth our time. And now, if you look, everybody, the YouTube is the biggest school the where you can study. But still, our parents are forcing us to go to the school, and they are hoping that we might become millionaires and buy. Man, it is so difficult to even afford your own house. It is that challenging. So our education system is flawed. Then our monetary system is also flawed. So what happened was, I think so. Bitcoin. They say I used to say when I went to Thailand, I became from a boy to a man. But I really feel from this journey of Bitcoin, I learned something about wisdom. That is like Bitcoin will save your future, man. It will save your kids. I really learned like you become from a boy to a man, and then from man there is a journey to wisdom. And I felt Bitcoin really gave me that journey towards wisdom. I felt like it. You are just part of a privileged people now. And now this is your people, this is your group. You may call it your cult, you may call it your homies, you may call it anything, but this is your family now. This is your family. And till the foreseeable future, I think so, there is nothing else better uh, to invest my time than in Bitcoin because Bitcoin gives everybody
and equal opportunity. That is something that really changed my outlook towards everything. Yes, once you study Bitcoin, you're pessimist about the world. You want the world to crash, you want the US dollar to crash, you want people to suffer, blah blah blah. But then you're an optimist because you believe there is goodness that's gonna come.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree because I mean, Bitcoin can solve a lot of problems for different people depending on what your problem is, and you can find a good way to to use it. So I completely agree, and I mean, I also share in your lessons how grateful we should be for what we have, and also because you when you go around, you meet different people, you will really be able to see, oh, this is what I knew, this is what other people knew, or this is how their life is, and you begin to appreciate what you really had. I mean, it has been a very good time speaking with you, learning from your experience, and I know that everyone is going to enjoy this one to share in your experience and to really learn in your experience traveling to this country. So before we round up, I would really like to for you to speak briefly about what you are currently working on. Are you maybe preparing to really pen down what you have learned through your journey? What are you currently working on?
Currently, I am writing my book. I have started the process of writing my book on the journey. So we'll be sharing some great anecdotes about the journey. Will be targeted to the younger age people. And on the side by side, I'm doing like one-off jobs like for my clients on video making. So yes, I'm just laying low. I don't do traveling much. I just stay here. Now I'm in the mountains. You can see behind, and I'm just having a great time. Just eating good food. That is, I to all the Bitcoiners out there. Yes, I love my lentils and my chapati. So I'm just eating that only, and I'm having a great, simple, trying to fix my body, my health, and trying to be optimist and trying to add value if I can. If not, I just lay low. I don't want any drama now, but to just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have really, done a lot trying to show everybody how Bitcoin is used in different regions, and I'm really looking forward to you penning it down so that people that were not there can be able to read it and see through your experience and also learn from them. And I mean, I'm also hoping to see you again in Nairobi this year for the African Bitcoin conference that will happen from the 9th to 11th of December 2024. Thank you so much for making our time to come and speak with us and share in your experience. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's making this all possible. And big kudos to Africa Bitcoin Conference, Human Rights Foundation for supporting a lot of initiatives. Open Sats has come through. A lot of things have changed. Bitcoin circular economy grants are there. Things are growing up. Keep doing what you're doing. You will find your path, and I will see you on the road. Namaste, man.
Awesome. So much. Yeah, Bitcoiners, as you have heard it, keep doing what you are doing. Ignore the noise and continue to push for a wider adoption of Bitcoin. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and we hope to see you in the next episode.